Strength isn't pretending you're okay. Looking back over 34 years with Jake, I've learned something I wish I had understood much earlier. For a long time, I thought being strong meant carrying everything by myself. I thought if I never talked about it, if I just kept going, kept cooking, kept cleaning, kept taking care of everyone else, then somehow everything would work itself out. But life has a way of teaching us differently. Before I go any further, I want you to know that today's story includes past sexual assault. I'm sharing it because I believe it may help someone else's marriage. There was a secret I carried into my marriage. It wasn't because I didn't love Jake. It wasn't because I didn't trust him. It was because I thought the best thing I could do was bury my past and never talk about it again. I was wrong. Before I married Jake, I had been date raped. I convinced myself that if I never talked about it again, it would stay in the past. But the past has a way of following us when it hasn't been healed. There were moments after we were married when Jake would come home from work. He would hug me, and the smell from his work clothes would immediately take me back to that trauma. My mind knew I was safe. My heart knew I loved my husband, but my body reacted before I could stop it. It wasn't Jake. It wasn't anything he had done. It was a wound that had never healed. So I learned how to hide it. I'd smile and say, "Why don't you go take a shower and freshen up before dinner?" Once he showered, everything was fine. At least that's what I thought. What I didn't realize was that while I was protecting my secret, Jake was trying to make sense of my reactions. He didn't know about my past. He didn't know why I sometimes pulled away. He didn't know what my body was remembering. All he knew was that the woman he loved sometimes seemed uncomfortable when he came near her. Can you imagine what that must have felt like? I love my husband, but I never gave him the information he needed to understand what was happening. Instead of sharing the truth, I carried it alone. And while I thought I was protecting both of us, the silence was quietly hurting our marriage. There were seasons when we felt more like roommates than husband and wife. We slept in the same bed, we lived in the same house, we paid the same bills. But emotionally, something was missing. Affection became difficult. Connection became difficult. Not because we didn't love each other, but because there was pain sitting between us that had never been named. Looking back now, I realize something that breaks my heart. Jake spent years trying to love a wound he didn't even know existed. Years later, God began dealing with my heart. Going to church changed me. Church counseling helped me begin facing what I had spent years trying to bury. Healing didn't happen overnight. It happened one honest conversation at a time, one prayer at a time, one step of obedience at a time. And something unexpected happened. As God began healing me, our marriage began healing too. I became intentional. I greeted Jake with joy. I kissed him when he came home. I told him I missed him. I called him during the day just to tell him I was thinking about him. I cooked his favorite meals, not because I was trying to earn his love, but because I wanted my actions to match what was in my heart. At first, he didn't know what to think. Sometimes he'd look at me almost as if he was wondering, "What are you up to?" And honestly, I understood why. Years of hurt aren't erased in a week. Trust takes time. So I stayed consistent. No hidden agenda, no attitude, just consistency. Day after day, week after week, month after month. Slowly, he softened. He'd pat me on the back as he walked by. He'd hug me. He'd kiss me. At night, he'd pull me closer while we slept. Those moments meant more to me than I can describe. Not because everything was suddenly perfect, but because hope had returned. We were finding each other again. During this cancer journey, I finally told Jake the truth. After all those years, I told him. He wasn't angry. He said he had always felt something had happened to me. He just didn't know what. When I finally told him, I felt clean. That's the only way I know how to describe it. Clean. Not because my past disappeared, but because I was no longer carrying it by myself. If I could sit down with the woman I was before I married Jake, I'd tell her this: get yourself some help first. Bring your wounds before God. Seek wise counseling. Don't assume time alone will heal what happened, because the person you marry shouldn't have to spend years trying to understand pain they never caused. Healing isn't only a gift you give yourself. Sometimes it's one of the greatest gifts you can give your marriage. If you're carrying something today that is quietly affecting your relationship, I'm not telling you to pretend it never happened. I'm telling you not to carry it alone. There is hope, there is healing, and there are people who can walk with you as you take those steps. Looking back over 34 years with Jake, I've learned that strength isn't about hiding your heart. It's about trusting enough to tell the truth. I'm Donna, and this is Still Standing with Donna. And remember, this is a season, not a sentence.